What are specialty crops? So USDA defines specialty crops as fruits, vegetables, tree nuts, dried fruits, horticulture, and nursery crops, including floriculture. And down here we have a list or a link to a comprehensive list. Um, and we'll go ahead and we'll send this out at the end of the workshop. Also, if you go on there and you see something, you don't see the crop that you're wanting to work on is not on that list, you can always shoot us an email or give us a call, and we can look into it further and ask for USDA on guidance on the type of crop you might be wanting to work with. This is a very general process for what it looks like when we're so from start to finish in this program in the cycle. So we'll start with requests for proposals, which are due to us on February 14th of each year. We try to keep it the same day because February 14th, Valentine's Day, it makes, kind of memorable to everybody. The next step in the process, the proposals get reviewed by the evaluation committee, and that typically happens towards the end of February, maybe the latest early March. And once the committee meets and evaluates all of the proposals, applications, they will recommend projects to go forward in the process. At that point, we have the Secretary of Ag, the New Mexico Secretary of Ag, review them. And he typically does concur with the committee on the proposals that go forward in the process. After that, we will send an email out to those applicants that have gone forward in the process and those who will not be going forward. So regardless of the status of your proposal, will let you know if you're going forward or if you were not selected. Next, successful applicants will complete revised proposals. So in this process, we will review them and check for things like spelling, grammar, programmatic issues with the proposals, and we'll come to the applicants and let you know what we suggest for revisions, excuse me. And then after that is done and we get all the revisions back from applicants, we submit the state plan to USDA. The state plan is all of the proposals all together that we're submitting for the total award amount that's awarded to New Mexico. After that, USDA will approve the state plan. And then after that, we get notification that that has occurred. And then we begin the subcontracts between the awardees or project coordinators and NMSU and NMDA. And that usually happens late fall, so towards the end of October. So federal priority areas for 2025. We haven't gotten the RFA yet from USDA, but we have seen USDA set priorities in the past, such as these. So I'll let you read over the list and I'll go over them quickly. Enhancing food safety, pest and disease control, compliance and food safety modernization act, research focused on conservation and environmental outcomes, developing new and improved seed varieties, increasing child and adult nutrition knowledge and consumption of specialty crops, improving efficiency and reducing costs of distribution systems. So projects must address at least one of the following performance measures, and these are called, for our purposes and for USDA, they're called outcomes. So I won't go over all of these. I'll let you read over these. The indicators to select have changed or expanded to providing short and long-term impact indicators, more accurately reflecting grant recipients' accomplishments, reducing burden on grant applicants and recipients, improving AMS's ability to report on the impact of its grant programs, and standardizing measures across programs where appropriate. So I'll leave this up for another second or two for you to review these. And again, remember, we'll send this out, the presentation, to you all at the end or in the coming days after this workshop. And it'll have all the websites and everything so you all can use those resources. All right, let's talk about unallowable expenses for this grant. Capital expenditure purchases are things like equipment, buildings, land, expenditures to make improvements on capital assets that materially increase their value or useful life. So that will not be allowable on this grant. Contributions, donations, sponsorships, purchase of lease of SNAP EBT equipment, general purpose equipment, equipment not limited to research, scientific, or other technical activities, will not be allowed on here. Equipment, we'll expand on that. An article of non-expendable, tangible personal property having a useful life of more than 1 year and an acquisition cost equal to or greater than $5,000. So, because of this, this is partially because we are part of NMSU. The equipment, if we have equipment on these grants and their cost is $5,000 or more, they become NMSU property and they have to be tagged by NMSU. So we generally don't allow equipment that is greater than $5,000. So entertainment activities are not allowed, indirect costs. NMDA does not allow indirect costs. And then, of course, the rest of this list. And now let's go over some examples of allowable expenses. And some of them are with conditions. And we can go over more of these during the Q&A after the presentation. Special purpose equipment. We can, but it will be property of NMSU again. So we can allow equipment, but it has to be special purpose. And at the end of the grant, it will become NMSU property. Salary and wages are allowed. Advertising, marketing, and public relations. Travel is a allowable expense. Materials and supplies. And I want to highlight this, the rental cost of building and equipment, because we have, excuse me, so many conditions on equipment and real property or buildings cannot be purchased with this grant. Rental expenses are allowed. So just keep that in mind if you're thinking about you need to rent large pieces of equipment or a building to help you successfully conduct your project, you can charge rental expenses. Meeting, conferences, communication costs, training, and then also we'll also send a link to the USDA's general terms and conditions. And we refer to this a lot to make final determinations on allowable and unallowable expenses, but we'll send it out in an email with the presentation as well. Eligibility. So these are just the basic eligibility requirements for the grant. You'll have to keep a full registration in sam.gov. And you have to do this if you plan to do any business with the federal government. Um, and it has to be renewed once a year. We typically will send 60-day reminders to recipients about their SAM registration because we will not be able to reimburse or pay on the grant until the recipient is active, has an active registration within SAM.gov. The federal tax ID number, this information is associated with your tax ID number, and it has to match the information that you input when you do your registration in SAM.gov. The two cannot differ. They have to be the exact same information. And then, sorry, going back to the SAM, we recommend that you get started on this right away, because it's a pretty quick process, but you could have some hiccups. So we'd like you to get that done if you plan to apply for this grant. That way, when you go into do your application, you already have your SAMS number in place. New this year, we've developed an eligibility form. This is aimed to help a potential applicant gauge whether they are ready to take on a project or not. This is not the same thing as a risk assessment. Risk assessment is you fill that out after you have been awarded your grant. So this is a different form, and we'll go over this when we go through submittable, because both these forms are on there. The eligibility form is attached to the proposal or the application. So you have to fill out the eligibility form before you can proceed to filling out your application. All right, I'll go ahead and hand it over to my colleague, Angel Stevenson, to finish out this presentation.
Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Angel Stevenson, and I will be talking to you about a few other things this morning. I'm going to go ahead and turn my video off just in case I have some funny Wi-Fi stuff going on. Okay, so areas of consideration. There are 3 different areas that you want to ask yourself, basically, if you think you can take on or your ideas are eligible for the specialty crop block grant. So relevance, do the goal and objectives match the needs or problems? Effectiveness, is the proposed approach practical? Has it been tried elsewhere? How will changes be measured? Feasibility, are the budget and time frame realistic? And can it be done in a reimbursement basis? Or on a reimbursement basis. That's a very important thing to ask yourself, because we do pay on a reimbursement. So you have to request reimbursement. So you'll have to pay everything up front and then submit your request for reimbursement, and then we pay on a net 30 from that. So that's something that you have to definitely look at if your finances can, if your business can handle that type of structure. Next slide, please. Areas of consideration. The impact, what will happen as a result of the project? How will it make a difference in the community? Who will be affected? And how will you know if the results have been achieved? Longevity, are there lasting benefits after the end of the project? How will the project continue after the funding? And will other funds be available to carry forth the project after the grant ends? So lots of questions to ask yourself to make a good decision on how to put together your project, and if you think your project will be strong enough to be considered. So what's next? Next slide. Yep. And next. Okay. Proposal template. All proposals um, must use the proposal template supplied within NMDA's grant platform, which is called Submittable. Here's the link to that website. We have compiled the template within Submittable. So it's a very simple platform that helps guide you through all the steps. What you'll do is you'll log in to Submittable, create an account, and then select the project for NMSU or for the NMDA specialty crop block grant. And from there, you'll just follow each step within Submittable and it'll just guide you through the entire application process. It's really quite simple. I would suggest getting in there and getting familiar with all the questions that are being asked. Get familiar with the platform and just the template itself. So you have a good idea of, as you're thinking through your proposal, what are the questions that you'll have to answer and the information that you'll need to provide. Okay, next slide. Within the template, we do request letters of intent and support. You'll have to upload them as attachments within the Submittable platform. So letters of intent are required for any partners involved with the project. Letters of support are from industry beneficiaries, and they are both required within the template. So keep that in mind as you're thinking about who you are going to have involved within your project. Both set of letters must be submitted with the proposal. And we have some good examples of each type of letter on our website. And you can find that here on this slide. But there's some pretty good examples. And I think there's even templates there that you can use for those two letters. Okay, next slide. We recommend taking time to fill out your proposal. Have a third party who is not familiar with your project or program to review your proposal. Edit for grammar and spelling. You can use different tools for that, like Grammarly or even ChatGPT. Recheck your budget calculations. The nice thing about Submittable is it will auto calculate for you, but you just want to make sure as you're putting your budgets together, everything adds up and makes sense, especially within your justification. You want everything within your justification to match what you have listed in your budget table. That's very important and something we'll review heavily, and because that's something USDA wants to be sure that everything matches nicely and all makes sense. Don't wait till the last minute. This is a very detailed proposal. You have to have lots of different information. You want it all to really make sense and flow really well. There's the more detail you have, the better, to just help the reader and person not familiar with your project to really understand what you're trying to achieve. You can ask us or others for any help, but we do need to have plenty of time to be able to review your project and give you any tips or any ideas on what you can do. So definitely give yourself plenty of time to give us plenty of time to be able to review that for you. All right, next slide. Kind of went over the timeline a little bit earlier. Here gives you a little more dates on this table. As you can see, and as you know, we're doing some of the outreach right now here in December. We're hosting the workshops. As Des mentioned earlier, the proposals are due February 14th within that Submittable platform. The evaluation committee will meet sometime in February to begin reviewing all the proposals, and we should be able to notify applicants in early March of the status. Revised grant proposals will be due back to us sometime after we hear from USDA on revision requests. So we will notify you of that. And then sometime after that, USDA will have a date for us to submit our state plan. So that's typically sometime around the end of April, possibly early May. And then USDA will review the entire state plan and approve it or request revisions. And then we will receive the notice of award from USDA sometime in the summer. Or they take the time, I'm sorry, in the summer to review them, and then sometime, hopefully around September, we get the notice of award. And then at that point, we begin to compile award letters for the subcontracts, and our goal of mid-October is to get all those award letters out and have subcontracts in place sometime in October. And then your projects will begin around the end of September, and then they'll run through September of 2029. Keep in mind that there are quarterly progress reports and final reports. So every year we do have to go through reporting season. You have to report annually and submit a final report as well. So keep that in mind as you're compiling your proposal as well. Next slide. So here's some resources for you. Our NMDA website, as you can see here, has lots of good information. You can click or go to this website and then click on funding opportunities, and then you'll see the specialty crop block grant program come up. You'll click on that, and that will take you to our landing page for all specialty crop. There's different I'm sorry, lost my train of thought there. So you'll click on that, and then that landing page will come up. You'll find the spot where you can click to get to submittable. There's also different links on there to help you guide you for different things. Please email us at the specialtycrop@nmda.nmsu.edu. Email if you have any questions, and there are some resources on the USDA website, including the grants and conditions, terms and conditions for the grant. That's a good spot to look for more information as far as terms and conditions for this particular grant. All right, next slide. Or actually, I think that is our last slide. Yes, that's our last slide. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask, and we will try to get them answered for you. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Angel. We'll go ahead and share my screen here, and I'll walk you through our website. So just give me 1 minute.
And then Felicia is doing that. If you all have questions, you can post them in the chat. We'll try to answer them the best we can in the chat. If not, we'll wait towards the end of the tour of Submittable on the website, and Felicia or Angel or I can go further in detail on the video.
All right, okay. So here is our elevatenmag.com website. Right now we're running our holiday lookbook, so it's just a pop-up that you'll need to close. But if you do that, then you'll see the bar up at the top, and you'll select the funding one here. You'll do the drop-down arrow to the Specialty Crop Block Grant Program. So we'll go to that landing page. Here we are. This first link here, the 2026 USDA request for applications, is expected to be released by USDA in January. So our final deadlines to USDA and everything haven't been determined yet. Any changes, proposal template and such. However, we're not changes over the last cycle, funding cycle, excuse me. So, and then the next one is the list of program eligible specialty crops. There's also a list of ineligible crops, but neither list is all inclusive. So again, if you have any questions and if we can't answer them, we can seek guidance from USDA on any particular specialty crops that you're looking into. Then you can visit the USDA AMS website. However, we prefer that you focus mainly on this page because we are allowed to create a state-specific program while still following the grant terms and conditions. The next one is the request for proposals. That was the press release that we sent out with the links to register for these workshops. So if you have any folks that were not able to attend one of the workshops, we can meet with people individually. They'll just need to send us an email pretty quickly so we can try to fit that in our schedule. We have another grant program right now that we're doing site visits for, so there's still a lot going on between now and the end of December. So the sooner the better there. However, this red link here that says visit Submittable again is our grant platform. So we'll go through that here pretty extensively in a minute. But that's how you access the platform. And then the performance measures that we went over in the slides, they're referred to as the outcomes and indicators as well. They're linked here. That's a really important document as you need to select at least one outcome and associated indicator for your project. But they're also built into the proposal template as well. So you'll see that in a little bit. And then we do have those templates for support letters and letters of intent as well. And then so that you can see what types of proposals have been selected by the evaluation committee to move forward with the process and get funding, you can see the accepted and approved proposals for 2019 and forward. So quite a few. There's probably 6 to 10 projects within each of those cycles. So and then at the very bottom, there's the link to our general specialty crops email address. So feel free to send us questions there. That's a great way to at least do the initial, reach out to us initially so that we can do a little bit of research on your questions and get you some really thorough answers as you move forward in the process. So we'll go ahead and move forward to to Submittable. So I'll scroll up here and I'll click the Visit Submittable link. And we share the Submittable platform with another division within NMDA. So you'll see this page change slightly, the links over time, depending on different deadlines and processes that are going on. However, you'll look right now toward the bottom, and it's the 2026 proposal template for SCBGP. You can either hit the submit button or the words themselves. That's a link. So we'll go ahead and hit submit. Then it takes you to the template. We're going to go ahead and just hit skip and continue right now, just in the interest of time. So you'll just start filling in the boxes. There, in some of these, you'll see there's some smaller text at the bottom of each box. Those help provide, give you some cues, give you some guidance, also provide some really helpful links. You'll see which ones are required boxes. Most of them are, but it's a pretty brief template. We do ask for a project contact and also a fiscal contact, just so that if you are selected to move forward, when we're going through the reimbursement process, then we have that fiscal contact as well. Your title, your start date, your end date. What's great about Submittable is we have these little calendar icons you can select and pick your start and end date, but it won't let you select dates that are outside of the period of performance for the grant. You'll list your project partners in summary. Here's a great example of some of that guidance text underneath the box. If you need to expand your box, although there's the word limit that's listed at the right-hand bottom corner, you can expand the boxes here using those the corner with the lines. And then we'll keep moving forward. Project purpose is the next section. So you'll see the character limits are specific to those sections. Let's see, you'll list your objectives. Project beneficiaries, these are direct beneficiaries. I would focus on industry members for beneficiaries. So people like agribusinesses, producers, processors, things like that. Statement of enhancing specialty crops. So there's a few checkboxes like this to make sure that we're following the grant terms and conditions. And then there's links if you want to dive a little bit deeper and understand the statement before you check it as well. So a few more check boxes. So this is if you've been previously funded. If not, you can go ahead and click no. Now this is funded by this program through New Mexico specifically. So the committee wants to see if you're building off of, or you intend to build off of the successes of a previously funded project. So that's the main intent of this section. We also want to know the likelihood of this project becoming self-sustaining, so not dependent on grant funds. So you'll give us a good description there of the plan moving forward to become self-sustaining after the grant ends. Is this, we can't fund duplicative projects, so you'll follow these prompts here. You'll list your external project support here, and then we have some upload sections here for those letters of support and letters of intent. So again, letters of support are from anybody that's listed in the proposal as being assigned some of the activities, the project activities. So, and these are outside of the applicant entity. So we just want to make sure that if you have a project partner, that they are indeed committed to this process, and they'll supply the letter of support. They'll give us some details within that letter. So you'll upload it. It's a pretty easy thing. You'll just click choose file, find it on your computer, and upload it. But if you have multiple, you can upload them individually. I believe we have the limits set pretty high for the number of attachments, although you shouldn't need to exceed the limit. But if you need to, or if it's easier, you can always combine your PDFs and then upload multiple letters that are already combined in one PDF and just have one attachment here on each of these sections. So if you don't have any, collaborators on your projects, then you won't have any letters of intent, and that's okay. However, letters of support, you'll want to have it, at least one. Two is better. We'll talk a little bit about how the evaluation committee reviews your proposals. And we can send that out to you all so you see what sections are weighted more heavily than others. Let's see, we'll move forward. Okay, expected measurable outcomes. So this is those performance measures, those outcomes and indicators. This is where, you're going to want to pick the main one, maybe two that fit your project, because you'll have to report on anything that's selected here. You'll be held to that by USDA. So there may be others here that could still fit your project, but we suggest just focusing on maybe one or two. So we'll say outcome 2 for this one. Just to give you an example. And then once you've selected the outcomes, the possible indicators for those outcomes will pop up at the bottom. So you'll pick at least one indicator for each outcome. And again, one of each is acceptable. You can pick more, but again, you'll have to report on those. So just make sure that that's realistic and attainable for you. Okay, miscellaneous outcome measures. So rarely have we seen anyone that completes this section. The outcomes and indicators coming from USDA are pretty inclusive. So, but if you do have something that you think just doesn't quite fit the outcomes and indicators that USDA has developed, you can always put one in here and it'll be subject to review and approval by USDA. Data collection to report on those outcomes and indicators. You'll have to be specific as to how you intend to collect the required data and report on it. So we give you some examples below. And again, you can expand your text box if you want to see the additional text that you've included. Then we go into the budget narrative section. This first table is the budget summary. So it's going to list all your budget categories, your cost categories on the left, and then your total funds requested. Again, submittable auto sums. So that's a great feature. It should auto calculate for you. So you know what your total funding is going to be, your funding request is going to be. And then the next sections are going to break down each of these cost categories more specifically. So for example, and I'll go through these fairly quickly, personnel, you'll just want to go through and complete all of the columns. So don't leave anything blank. We need titles, level of effort. So that's either number of hours or percent FTE, and then the funds requested. If you don't know the person yet, say maybe you're still hiring, you can just list a title. That's fine for now. And then, so we give you some guidance here. Definitely in the budget section, read all the print underneath the tables and underneath the justification sections. Let's see. Personnel justification. You'll include the details of each individual here. You'll let us know, for example, what activities they'll be completing and when those activities may occur, so we can make sure they will occur during the period of performance. So fringe benefits, if you're going to ask for fringe benefits, you'll give us the rate, the title of all those positions. So they should be the people that are listed in the personnel section as well. So move forward. Travel, this one requires quite a bit of detail. And this one can get kind of long if you have multiple trips. So this should expand for you. But you'll list each trip destination. Each line should include either airfare, car rental, or hotel. You'll give us the unit of measure, the number of units, cost per unit, and the number of traveler claiming the expense. So lots of detail here. If not, USDA will request that detail, that level of detail that they need during their review process and ask us to submit some revisions. So think through these, get online, look up costs for flights, all those. We know rates change over time, but you can even put in the justification section below that, you research these on such and such website and so on. So that is very helpful. You can either for travel follow GSA rates or actuals. So actual expenditures are just what the title kind of describes. It's what you actually think that those trips are going to cost. Usually actuals are used when you're going somewhere that the rates exceed GSA rates. So that's just some guidance there. You'll click on the GSA link here to see the GSA rates. You'll search by city and so on. So that's really helpful. Travel justification, that's again where you'll give us all those details. Here's some examples here. Trip 1, trip 2, location, intent, and so on. Some click boxes conforming to the travel policy. Equipment, again, this is anything that's $5,000 and over according to NMSU's equipment definition, although USDA says 10,000 and above. And again, we only fund special purpose equipment, so things like tractors, high dollar computers, things like that. Things like that are not eligible. So, but vehicles and such are not. Those are general purpose equipment. However, you can rent equipment, and that would go, rental expenses would go under the other section at the very end. So we'll give you some examples here. Supplies, you'll want to be very detailed. So don't just say sampling supplies, for example, you'll want to detail those out. And what that might include, you'll give the per unit cost, number of pieces, the estimated acquisition dates. You could pick, say, the first or middle of the month, just estimate as best you can. Let's see. Contractual. You list all your contractors, who you intend to contract with, whether they're going to be paid on an hourly rate or a flat rate, and then the total funds. And something I didn't mention earlier for those letters of intent from project partners or collaborators, that does not include your contractors, because those folks will be hired after the fact. But these, your project collaborators would be others that are doing some of the work within the proposal. However, if you would like to supply a letter of intent or support from a contractor, and you think it could strengthen your proposal, feel free to do so, and we will definitely pass that on to the evaluation committee. And by the way, Desiree, Angel, and myself are not on the evaluation committee. We want to be available to assist you, maybe review your proposal ahead of time and provide you some feedback based just on our experience. So just know that the committee for this year's cycle for 2026 has not been set yet. We do try to alternate members on that committee. So we'll be trying to select a committee based on the types of proposals that we think we're going to be accepting this year. Here's the other section. So if you don't feel like it fits in the cost categories above, you can put it in this section. However, if it does need to move to one of the other sections, we can do that within the revision process. So we'll need item description, unit cost, number of units, acquisition date. So similar to the others. Again, this is where rental would go. And then program income. This is any income that would be generated within the period of performance by your project activities. So you'll just disclose that here if you intend to generate program income. You'll let us know the source of that income. So say you're going to do a workshop and charge a registration fee. You'll put workshop registration fee here. You'll tell us how that program income will be reinvested into the project within the period of performance. And that has to be reinvested into a budget cost category and expense that is pre-approved. So include it in the budget tables above. And then you'll estimate that income. And again, you're not going to be held to this income estimation. It's just to give us an idea and USDA an idea of what to expect. So we'll give you some examples. If you have any questions on this section as you're completing your proposal, please feel free to reach out. Give us your specific example and we can walk you through that and how you might apply that program income during the period of performance. And then once you're done, I would suggest as you're actually working through your proposal to just scroll down and every now and then hit save draft, although it does save for you every few minutes. So just be sure to save your draft, and then when you're ready, go ahead and submit it. So you'll just hit the submit button and you should get confirmation that it has been submitted. If you do need us to open it for some revisions, say you've submitted it before the deadline and then another letter came in, a letter of support, you can always ask us to open up your proposal, and then you can include that additional letter and hit submit again. So, and that's the same process that we'll follow for those that do move forward in the process and will need to do some revisions, either based on our review or USDA's review.